Good morning. My name is Amal Nirgodkar. I'm the CEO of Patient Prism, and I'm delighted to welcome Steve Bilt, who I look up to in this industry a lot. And he is the CEO, as you all know, of Smile Brands, one of the fastest growing large DSOs in the country. And he has done it on the foundation of building a great culture. And I attend your events every year at the ALM. They're a lot of fun. And how you get people excited around a cause baffles me. I mean, I talk about you everywhere. So tell us, what is the secret, right? How have you really instilled culture in your organization at a mass scale? It's hard enough to do it in one small office.
Well, I think that people look for the quote unquote secret, and sadly or happily, the secret hides in plain sight, which is how authentic are you to the beliefs you're espousing. So you think about espoused values and values in action.
Right.
So everyone can espouse values, and I've never heard anyone espouse values that don't sound really good.
Right, absolutely.
What I have seen is people espouse values that sound good and behave or put values in action that aren't consistent. So when we say we're going to deliver smiles for everyone, now when the going gets tougher, do we truly try to seek that win-win relationship with people, or do we say, they don't know any better, let's take more? Right? When you take more, it's unsustainable. When you take more, people take it as precedent.
Right.
And then that behavior amplifies. So one of the things for me, and you ask about how do you do that, so that's how you do it at a local level. How do you do it at scale?
Right.
The way you do it at scale is you assume you as a leader behave more like a Supreme Court judge. You're not so worried about the case you're judging on.
Right.
You're worried about the constitutional precedent you're creating. And so you as a leader are saying, yes, we're dealing with this doctor's compensation or this patient's complaint.
Right.
How we resolve this is important for that individual, but more important because it's going to happen 100 times or 1,000 times when I'm not going to be in the room to arbitrate it. So it's how I go about making the decision. It's what precedent am I setting with that decision that's the most important to scaling culture.
But you kind of, how do you train your leaders within the organization to kind of make sure that they're accountable, that people are accountable for this?
Well, okay, so now that's different, right? That's saying you're accountable to your business unit and the results of it, and you have decision-making authority over it.
Okay.
So I'm not going to second guess it every time it goes wrong.
Okay.
Because one of the things I've learned, right, early in my career, I felt like, wow, I'm really bright. I make decisions and they're, usually easy for me.
Right.
And as I moved on in my career, it's like, wow, I agonize over every decision I face. And I thought, am I getting stupid? What's happening here, right?
Right.
And the reality was, maybe I was getting a little dumber, but what was happening in real life was the decisions that were easy were made 5 layers from me.
Absolutely.
By the time they got to me, they were 51-49 decisions.
Absolutely.
And you agonize over them. Now, the best decision maker making calls on 51-49 is going to be right, 55% of the time,
Absolutely.
60% of the time? It means you're going to be wrong a lot. So don't make a culture of second guessing people when they're wrong. Make a culture of sitting down and analyzing through a filter of your values how you make the decision. And then it could be right, it could be wrong. But you don't want to go back and say, well, see, you made a bad decision there because you were wrong. Well, if it's 51-49, it wasn't a bad decision because you were wrong. It was just the best decision you could make at the time you had to make it with the available information you have.
Absolutely.
In hindsight, sure, I can tell you every Super Bowl winner 1 through 53.
Right, absolutely.
54 is a different ballgame.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
But 1 through 53, I can nail them.
Absolutely.
So hindsight, sure, there's more information available. But with less information, it's harder. I could do it with a 50-50 likelihood. Right today, if I had to call for Super Bowl 54, I got a 1 in, maybe a little better than a 1 in 32 shot, but not a whole lot better.
Right.
You have me call it the night of, I had at least a 50-50 shot.
Absolutely.
Right? But that's because I have more available information.
Absolutely.
But cultures oftentimes spend their time pretending that you made a bad decision because you're not using the hindsight that you now have.
So one quick comment at the end is that how are you able to successfully integrate all these practices? Because I've seen with my own eyes, you've bought done a lot of acquisitions, a lot of affiliates have come, and they are successful and they're happy, and they're all integrated. I mean, it's massively amazing to be able to get a group of practices, bring them into your platform, and instantly add value.
Right.
And that's really what Smile Brands brings to the table. Is that?
So I think there's a philosophy, right? You can say we're big, therefore we're going to show you all the things you're doing wrong and change them.
Right.
You could also go into a deal saying, you've built a wonderful practice. I'm assuming everything you're doing is right. Now, a couple things go on. One, as you spend time, you might tell me as the practice, well, not so much everything. Can you help me fix this? Can you help me fix that? Okay, fine. Happy to do that.
Okay.
Two, where we're going to really add value is as you gain scale.
Okay.
So you may be doing everything fine today. That could actually be true.
Perfect.
That doesn't mean that things won't change over time and we can add value. So you think about decision one.
Right.
Perfect example, right? Incredible business. Wonderful. And one of the things that AJ and I talked about and made sure his team was really thinking about is D1 the same today at 30 practices as it was when you had 2?
Right. Absolutely not.
Right? It changed a lot. When it goes from 30 to 60 to 100 to 150, are things going to change? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
With or without Smile Brands.
Absolutely.
So as things change, remember they're changing because the business is changing. What we can do is take all the lessons we've learned and all the benefits of scale and prevent you from making the mistakes we've made historically. But it doesn't mean anything has to change. It just means over time it will. Let's sit down together and figure out how it should.
And you're really not like forcing everything down their throat, right? You're basically saying anywhere we can enable you to be better at scaling, we're going to help you. Anywhere you're better, maybe we could learn from you. Is that also there?
Well, 2 things around that I want to share. One is to quote unquote integrate D1.
Sure.
We put a integration committee together.
Sure.
I may have already told you the story, but it's kind of fun and it underscores how we approach it. That committee has 4 people on it.
Right.
Myself, my CFO, my chief growth officer, and AJ.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it has 1 vote, and it's AJ's vote.
Wow.
Literally true. So we want to change something, AJ decides, or we just don't change it. So that's one element of it. And over time, he knows, look, as the business grows, shop what we have available, understand our services, and bring things on at the pace your culture can uptake them. And the pace of your growth needs to take them on. And then beyond that, we've learned a ton from D1. I mean, their clinical culture is amazing, right? Their team level culture is amazing. And we have some of those things we do really well, some things we do differently, and it's a very cross-fertilized process where we're learning as much or more from them.
And I didn't expect it to come from anybody else in this business but you. This idea that you're going to learn from people you're going to invest in and acquire from. Because, again, this is who you've always been. You've always been a student of business. And I'm so excited that to see Smile Brands flourish all over the country.
Well, you know this because you're one of these guys, right? The great disruptors rarely are guys buried in big companies, right? The great disruptors are entrepreneurs. So to think that you're going to keep growing and evolving a model by talking to yourself versus cross-fertilizing, learning from people. And by the way, the only reason we want to do the affiliation is because this is a great practice, not because it's a terrible one, right?
Absolutely.
And so if it's a great practice, how do you say you're not going to learn something from it? We're going to learn a ton from it. And that's where our all the green shoots of our model come from, things like that.
No, this is great. I'm so excited to follow you online. I follow the foundation efforts online. You're doing great work all over the world and delivering everyday smiles. Is it Celebrate Everyday Smiles?
Well, it's Smiles for Everyone.
Smiles for everyone.
And be sure to celebrate everyday miracles.
Celebrate everyday miracles. And how do people look at your foundation's work? Where do they go online?
Sure. So smilesforeveryone.org.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have it.
Okay.
So Smiles for Everyone Foundation. So it's easy enough to just Google Smiles for Everyone Foundation and then track it through to the website. But there's no question that it's a big part of our culture. We believe in it in a very authentic way. Is what we try to do is make sure those individual people that get that care, that need it, get our attention. Get our whole hearts, and then that pays through to the organization, however it decides to pay through, right?
So last question is, if I have a couple of practices that I'm running, and I'm kind of frustrated. I really need, but I want to associate it with Smile Brands. How do you get about? I want to talk to Steve Bilt. I'm a dentist. Can I just do that?
Sure. Yeah, so just email me, steve.bilt@smilebrands.com.
Okay.
Depending on the questions, I've got people on the clinical side that might make the most sense to dig in deep. I've got people on the affiliation side who will come out and meet with you directly, understand what the opportunity is, and make sure that we tailor it to what's best for you. So we have a number of models. What we really need is transparency for what someone wants to accomplish, and then our models can accommodate that. So if someone wants to take the risk down a little bit and grow faster, we have a model that's designed exactly to do that.
So depending on what their specific goals are, I mean, depending on how much control they want, how much they want to retain, you're pretty flexible with that.
No, we're very flexible, and there's no bad answer for what they want to do.
Sure.
It's just the transparent answer. If someone says, look, I'm retiring and I want to go, okay, well, let us figure that out with you, right?
Absolutely.
Your practice is worth more if we help you recruit someone in, right? All those kind of things. If you say, I believe in this wholeheartedly and I have 3 practices and I want to have 15, we have a model for that that'll do that with you with way lower risk and candidly using our capital versus trying to borrow it and put personal guarantees out there.
Absolutely. I mean, I really encourage all of you guys watching this video, and you own these dental practices, and I'm going to give your email out again, steve.bilt at smilebrands.com. Reach out to Steve and have even a 15-minute conversation, because it changed the way I looked at my business in many ways. It is Steve's ideas and culture have helped me at Patient Prism build a better culture. And if you are in this business thinking about, oh my God, what's the next 5 to 10 years going to look like? If anything, I think Steve was abundant with his sharing of knowledge, and he has done that with me, and I think he'll do that with you guys as well. So thank you, Steve Bilt. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Mo.
Thank you so much.
Great to see you again.
Thank you.